Hello, my friends. After Trump's talks with Putin, he stated, my phone conversation today with President Putin of Russia was a very good and productive one. We agreed to an immediate ceasefire on all energy and infrastructure, with an understanding that we will be working quickly to have a complete ceasefire and ultimately an end to this very horrible war between Russia and Ukraine. This war would have never started if I were president. Many elements of a contract for peace were discussed, including the fact that thousands of soldiers are being killed, and both President Putin and President Zelensky would like to see it end. That process is now in full force and effect, and we will hopefully, for the sake of humanity, get the job done. Zelensky immediately responded, agreeing to pause strikes on energy infrastructure for 30 days. However, a full ceasefire doesn't seem to be on the table just yet. President Zelensky hasn't yet spoken with President Trump following his conversation with Putin. However, he hopes the call will happen soon, he told reporters, according to a Suspilny correspondent. We have always maintained the position that no weapons should be used against energy infrastructure, the president added. When asked what Ukraine's key message to Trump would be after Russia effectively refused the proposed 30-day comprehensive ceasefire, Zelensky responded, I would very much like President Trump to hear and see what Putin really wants. Putin is preparing several offensive actions in the Zaporizhzhia direction, in the east, in the Kharkiv and Sumy regions. Why? To maximize pressure on Ukraine and then issue ultimatums from a position of strength. Zelensky also commented on Putin's demands regarding Ukraine.
Putin is simply picking a sensitive topic. You know, it's a very opportunistic move. He brings up mobilization. What's behind it? Mobilization, intelligence, and weapons. His goal is to weaken the Ukrainian army. It's not really about mobilization itself. It's about reducing the size of our army by any means necessary. This was his ultimatum at the start of the war, and I don't think it has changed. He changes the wording, but not the intent. Another old tactic involves intelligence and weapons. He sees that the US is taking action, so he raises concerns about exactly what he knows could work. This has been done before, so why not try again? Again, it's about weakening the Ukrainian army, intelligence. That's about weakening our air defense and putting our people at risk. His entire strategy is about diminishing us as much as possible. That's all. The key topic is the first step toward a ceasefire. The first step is an unconditional ceasefire. Unconditional. This would demonstrate the political will of both sides to end the war without extra words, without grand speeches, without threats. We've seen Russian threats before. Serious people, even if they are enemies, understand this. Any de-escalation starts with clear and unconditional steps. And they need to be ready for that. I truly hope that President Trump exerted as much pressure as possible on Putin to take real action. Maybe they even confirmed some points to me. If President Trump can push Putin on the details like stopping strikes on energy and maritime targets, if that's the first step, and for now, there are no other steps, then let him explain the details of how we will proceed. I am sure that both our American and Ukrainian sides will support any measures that reduce attacks on military and civilian infrastructure. Whatever happens, we will support such steps.
What will a 30-day halt on energy strikes actually achieve? Unfortunately, nothing good for Ukraine. In 30 days, Putin will have simply stockpiled more drones and missiles, and when those 30 days are over, he will launch the most massive strike possible on Ukraine. If he wasn't willing to stop the war now, there is no guarantee he'll agree to a ceasefire after a month of quiet. Moreover, Ukraine refraining from striking Russian targets won't change anything on a larger scale either. Just last night, long after Trump and Putin's negotiations, Russia launched a strike on Slavyansk, targeting energy infrastructure. As we can see, the attacks haven't stopped at all. The only difference now is that Russia will claim they were hitting military targets. At the same time, this has been presented as the first step toward a full ceasefire, but if every step takes 30 days, then at this pace, the war might finally end in about 5 years. Friends, be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Meanwhile, Italy proposes security guarantees for Ukraine. Italy is firmly proposing to grant Ukraine security guarantees similar to Article 5 of the NATO treaty, said Prime Minister Meloni. To recap, NATO's Article 5 states that an attack on one member is considered an attack on all, requiring collective defense. Essentially, this means Italy has made its decision. If they have to fight Russia, they'd rather do it on Ukrainian soil. That's why they want to provide maximum support. French President Macron has also urged France and Europe to strengthen their military capabilities. Our country and our continent must continue to defend themselves, to arm themselves, to prepare to avoid war. This is the choice we have made and will continue to make. In this regard, deterrence is an opportunity for our country. Meanwhile, everyone is discussing an unexpected Ukrainian armed forces advance into Russian territory. According to the latest reports, Ukrainian armed forces have entered about 1.5 kilometers into the Belgorod region and are attempting to push further. As usual, Russian border defenses appear weak, allowing the Ukrainian forces to break through and try to secure their positions. However, in typical fashion, Russia is quickly mobilizing reinforcements and attempting to push them back. Geolocation maps have already highlighted possible gray zones and areas where Russia claims Ukraine is advancing. However, this information is not yet officially confirmed, so we wait. In the Kursk direction, Russian forces continue the advance, carrying out heavy shelling, including strikes already within Ukrainian territory. They're actively trying to prevent the Ukrainian forces from holding their defense line using FPV drones to target all roads. The situation remains critical. So far, the Kharkiv direction remains the most stable, while Shalin continues. There are no major offensive operations. Fighting is concentrated in Vovchansk, but activity remains low and the front line hasn't changed. Now, let's get straight to the Pokrovsk direction. The intensity of battles in the Pokrovsk direction remains high. Russian forces are storming Novoalexandrivka, Udachne, Kotline, Chunishine, Lysivka, Pромень and Yelizavetivka, attempting to break through near the highway. They're advancing along a broad front while shelling of Pokrovsk remains relentless. However, over the past 24 hours, no territorial changes have been recorded, and the Ukrainian forces continue to repel all attacks, and no reports of counterattacks so far. In the Kurakhove direction, Russian troops are persistent in the assaults near Troitske, Oleksiivka, and Konstantinopel. Heavy shelling continues, but the front line remains unchanged for now. The situation near Velyka Novosilka remains difficult. Russian forces maintain high offensive activity, attempting breakthroughs near Previlne, Novosilka, and Novopil. Shelling is continuous, and although no territorial changes have been recorded in the past 24 hours, the fighting is at maximum intensity. Meanwhile, President Zelensky has confirmed that Russia is preparing a new offensive in the Zaporizhzhia direction. The critical issue is that Russia has built a direct railway line from its territory to this region. This allows them to quickly transport equipment, much like they previously did via the Crimean Bridge. As a result, Russian forces can rapidly reinforce their units, and the offensive potential remains strong despite over a year of continuous attacks along the entire front line. Early signs of Russian advances have been reported, but the general staff hasn't confirmed the capture of three villages, only that intense battles continue. However, geolocation data indicates Ukrainian forces are actively eliminating Russian troops near Stepove, signaling ongoing resistance in the area. In the Kherson direction, Russian troops are trying to break through near Oleshki on the islands. However, they haven't achieved any success, and the front line remains unchanged over the past 24 hours. In the Toretsk direction, there is intense Russian activity with increased reserves deployed to the area. Russian forces are storming Leonidivka, central part of Toretsk, where Ukrainian forces are positioned, Dachne and Deliivka, while also attempting a breakthrough near Druzhba. Despite the heavy pressure, no territorial changes have been recorded within the last 24 hours, but the fighting remains extremely intense and further developments are expected. In the Chasiv Yar direction, Russian forces have intensified their offensive, expanding attacks beyond the city center. They are now pushing towards Orikhovo-Vasilivka area, storming Stupochki and Pritechine, while also attempting breakthroughs from Kordyumivka and Ozaryanivka with multiple assault groups. For now, all Ukrainian defenses are holding and no territorial changes have been recorded over the past 24 hours. However, the urgency of Russian attacks suggests they are rushing to gain ground at any cost, likely under direct pressure from Putin. In the Siversk direction, Russian troops are continuing assaults on Bilohorivka and Verkhnyokamensky. However, as in previous days, Ukrainian forces have successfully repelled all attacks and no changes in the front line have been observed. In the Lyman direction, Russian forces continue assaulting Zarichne, Zelena Dolina, and Lipove, attempting a breakthrough toward Novomykhailivka. Although no frontline changes have been recorded in the past 24 hours, Russian attacks have remained relentless for over a week. There is an increasing risk of a potential breakthrough as the situation gradually worsens, according to Ukrainian defenders. In the Bova direction, Russian forces are storming Boguslavka and Novakruhlyakivka, but no significant changes have been observed and attack intensity remains low. Further south, Russian troops are attempting to break through toward Olhivka, but Ukrainian forces have successfully prevented them from securing a foothold. All assault units have been repelled, and no changes in the front line have been recorded over the past day. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians are storming Petropavlivka and conducting shelling. They are also actively using drones along all the roads, but there have been no changes over the past 24 hours. The Ukrainian forces continue to hold their defense under extremely difficult conditions. In the Dvorichna direction, the Russians are breaking through near the village of Zapadne and conducting numerous shelling attacks. They're also storming Kamenka, but again, the front line hasn't changed in the last 24 hours. Overall, it's clear that the war is ongoing and even gaining momentum. Zelensky has stated that a larger Russian offensive is expected in the coming months, so Ukraine needs to prepare for the worst. In the US, it was once again stated that Ukraine is supposedly on Putin's menu. Ukraine is on the menu, not at the negotiation table, said Michael Clark, an invited professor from the Royal College of London and Exeter University, in a comment to Sky News. There is an old diplomatic saying when it comes to a major negotiations: if you are not at the table, you are on the menu. And believe me, Ukraine is on the menu, he added. Zelensky commented on this statement.
With all due respect, I don't want to offend anyone, but I don't want us to be on Putin's menu. We are not salads, not compote for this person, regardless of his appetite, and we see what he is. And that's it. We are an independent state, and therefore, without us, about us, I believe, it's wrong to negotiate because the result everyone wants won't be achieved.
However, unfortunately, the fact that Ukraine is on the menu is visible to the naked eye. Everything happening today is not beneficial to Ukraine, as territories are being handed over to Russian control, and the part of Ukraine that remains is not joining NATO and is even given resources to the US. Therefore, this is essentially a complete defeat. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.